I'm Elena, 36, an artisan chocolatier who turned our family's Boston shop, Sorrentino's Chocolatier, into a local gem. For 14 years, I tempered chocolate, crafted signature truffles, and secured an $850,000, 0 cents contract with Regal Atlantic Hotels. Then my parents chose my younger brother Lucas, who can't tell couverture from cocoa powder, to be CEO. I walked out, taking my recipes and partners with me. A week later, they lost that hotel deal. When Dad called in a panic, I told him, "Ask your new CEO." If you've ever been sidelined in a family business, stick around, like, subscribe, and share your story below. Sorrentino's sits in Boston's historic North End, a tiny shop where the scent of melted chocolate and roasted hazelnuts draws crowds. My grandfather, Giovanni Sorrentino, opened it in 1969, transforming a pastry counter into a boutique for European-inspired sweets. Growing up, I played with chocolate molds instead of toys, helping Grandpa perfect his espresso bark. By 15, I was rolling truffles and learning the balance of flavors. That passion drove me to build Sorrentino's name. After studying at the École Chocolat in Switzerland and earning a business degree from Boston College, I came back in 2011, determined to elevate our legacy. I created our sea salt caramel bonbons, which landed us in Gourmet Life magazine. I grew our Instagram to 60,000 followers, with glossy ganache videos going viral. Most importantly, I closed that $850,000 0 cents deal with Regal Atlantic Hotels for exclusive chocolates in their East Coast properties. It wasn't just money, it proved we'd arrived. But my parents had other plans. Last February, we met in Sorrentino's tasting room, surrounded by Grandpa's old photos. Dad Marco cleared his throat. Mom, Clara, sat beside him, silent. Lucas scrolled his phone. I leaned in, expecting talk of my expansion ideas. "Your mother and I have decided it's time to name a CEO. We believe Lucas is ready to lead." The room went silent. My spoon hovered halfway to my mouth, a scoop of dark chocolate mousse trembling. Lucas glanced up from his phone, smirking like he'd won a prize. I stared at Dad, waiting for the punchline. Lucas, my brother, who'd spent summers interning at finance firms, who'd never tempered chocolate in his life, who once scorched a batch of caramel so badly we had to replace an entire kettle. He was going to run my shop. "Dad, I don't understand," I said, my voice sharper than I meant. "I've managed the kitchen, the products, the partnerships for years. I landed Regal Atlantic. I have the chocolate training, the business degree." "Lucas has an MBA, Dad cut in, his voice firm. "He's got the business sense to scale this place." "You're brilliant in the kitchen, Elena, but leadership needs a broader vision." "Broader vision?" I echoed, heat flushing my cheeks. "I doubled our revenue. I got us featured in Gourmet Life. What's Lucas done? He ruined Christmas dinner last year because he forgot half the ingredients." Lucas rolled his eyes. "Relax, Elena. You're good at making sweets, but I'm the one who can turn this place into a chain. We don't need your fancy bonbons cluttering the shelves." "Cluttering?" I snapped. "Those bonbons are why Regal Atlantic signed us. They're our best seller." "Enough," Dad said, lifting his hand. "This isn't about who's better. Lucas has the skills to take us forward. You'll keep running production, Elena, under his direction." "Under his direction." The words landed like a slap. I glanced at Mom, hoping she'd object, but she just sipped her espresso, avoiding my eyes. "It's what's best for the business," she murmured. I sat back, my mind racing. For years, I'd worked 16-hour days, perfecting recipes, charming suppliers, pitching to corporate buyers. I'd built trust with people like Eric Marshall, Regal Atlantic's senior rep, who valued my consistency and creativity. And now my parents believed Lucas, with his PowerPoints and cost-cutting charts, was the better leader. The meeting dragged on as Dad laid out Lucas's plan. He'd start making strategic calls immediately, like trimming the product line. "We're wasting money on small batch confections," Lucas declared, flipping his hair. "We should focus on high-volume stuff. Chocolate bars, bulk truffles we can churn out fast." "That's not our brand," I shot back, gripping the table. People come here for unique flavors, not factory chocolate. Our sea salt caramel bonbons have a month-long wait list, Lucas. You're too stuck on details, Dad said, patronizing. Lucas is thinking big picture. You'll adjust. Adjust. Like I was some line cook expected to fall in line. I stared at Lucas, his smug grin slicing through me. He'd always been the golden child, skating by on charm and degrees, while I poured my heart into chocolate. But this was my life's work. In the next week, the disrespect only grew. Lucas started marking up my recipes, scribbling "too expensive" beside my sea salt caramel bonbons. He barged into production during rush orders, demanding we simplify everything on the spot. One day, he told Ryan, our manager, to cancel a shipment of single-origin cocoa because it cost too much. Ryan called me, frustrated. "Elena, he's going to ruin our quality. What do I do?" I had no answer. Every day, my role shrank. Dad started deferring to Lucas on everything: suppliers, budgets, marketing. During a meeting with one of our hotel clients, Dad introduced Lucas as the future of Sorrentino's and me as Elena, who runs production. Runs production, like I was just tempering chocolate. The breaking point came 10 days after Lucas took over. We were slammed prepping for our monthly tasting event. I'd planned each pairing carefully. Lucas suddenly stood up and declared, "We're cutting half the specialty items," he said, waving a spreadsheet. "They're not scalable. Elena's been indulgent. We need profit." Indulgent. I'd had enough. "Those confections are why we're sold out weeks ahead," I shot back. "You want to turn us into a bulk candy shop? Fine. But don't call it vision. You don't even know what goes into these recipes." The room went silent. Lucas flushed. "You're out of line, Elena. I'm the CEO now. Stick to chocolate." I looked at Dad, hoping he'd intervene. He just frowned. "Lucas is in charge. We trust him." Trust him, not me. Not the woman who'd built this place from a neighborhood shop to a brand people crave. That night, I called Natalie, my friend who owns Crimson Confections. Over coffee at a late-night diner, I spilled everything. Lucas's arrogance, Dad's silence, and how I felt like a stranger in my own kitchen. Natalie listened, eyes steady over her coffee. "Elena, you're one of the best chocolatiers in Boston. If this wasn't your family's business, would you stay?" "No," I said instantly. "I'd leave." "Then why stay now?" she asked. "Your grandfather started Sorrentino's, but you made it what it is. Don't let them erase your worth." Her words echoed all night. When I got home, I made a list of what was mine. My recipes, my supplier contacts, my partnership with Eric from Regal Atlantic. Those weren't company property. They were years of trust I'd built. If my family didn't value me, I'd show them what they were losing. By morning, I knew my decision. I wasn't just leaving a job. I was leaving a family that didn't see me. I kept showing up, managing production, talking to vendors, but Lucas hovered over everything. Lucas, with his MBA and zero chocolate making experience, started acting like he'd run Sorrentino's forever. His big vision was wrecking what I'd built. That first week, I tried cooperating, hoping Dad would see reason. During a product review, I presented a new idea: dark chocolate truffles with yuzu zest. Lucas barely looked. "Too niche," he said, tapping his pen. "Think chocolate bars, not fancy truffles. We need scalable products." "Chocolate bars," I said. "Customers wait weeks for unique flavors. That's what sets us apart." Lucas leaned back. "You're stuck in details. I'm thinking national expansion. Uniform products. Lower costs. Your fancy truffles don't fit." I looked at Dad, flipping through Lucas's spreadsheet. "She's got a point," he muttered. "We can't keep chasing awards. Awards like our gourmet life feature that packed our shop for months." Mom stayed silent, nodding along. I left the meeting feeling smaller than ever, my 14 years reduced to fancy chocolates. Lucas didn't stop there. He began emailing my suppliers, questioning my contracts. Denise Hart, who'd supplied our premium chocolate for years, called me, worried. "Elena, Your brother wants to switch to cheap bulk chocolate. Says it's cheaper. I thought you handled sourcing. I do, I said, gripping the phone. Or I did. Ignore him for now, Denise, I said. I'll handle it. But handling it meant clashing with Lucas daily. He'd barge into production, scribbling notes while the team dodged him. Once, he told Kristen, one of our best chocolatiers, to hurry during a rush, almost knocking over trays of delicate truffles. Later, Kristen pulled me aside, furious. Elena, he's clueless. Why's he in charge? I didn't have an answer. Lucas's choices weren't just wrong, they were reckless. He canceled a marketing campaign I'd planned for the Boston Chocolate Fest, claiming it was too expensive. That event alone brought us 10,000 new followers last year. When I raised it with Dad, he just shrugged. Lucas is the CEO. Trust his judgment. Trust his judgment. I'd trusted my family to see my worth, but they were blind. Every day, my role slipped away. Dad started bypassing me in meetings, asking Lucas about partnerships I'd built from scratch. On a call with Eric from Regal Atlantic, Dad introduced Lucas as the new leader and me as the chocolatier. Eric sounded confused. Elena's always been my point of contact. Lucas jumped in, promising exciting changes. I sat there silent, my stomach twisting. Still, I stayed, hoping I could prove myself. Then came Friday's staff meeting, 2 weeks after Lucas's promotion. We were prepping for a private tasting. 50 guests, 5 chocolate pairings. I'd spent days perfecting it. The team buzzed, eager to shine. Lucas arrived late, laptop in hand. Quick update, he said, cutting me off. We're cutting 3 specialty products: yuzu truffles, espresso bark, and sea salt caramels. They're too expensive. The room went silent. Ryan, our manager, glanced at me, his jaw set. Those are our top sellers, I said, standing. They're why people come here. I'm the CEO, Lucas snapped. We're losing money on fancy chocolates. Bulk bars sell better. Losing money? I fired back. Those have our highest margins. Dad raised a hand. Elena, enough. If you've ever felt invisible in the place you built, stay with me. There's more to this story. And I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss what happens when I finally decide enough is enough. Lucas has done the analysis. We're moving forward with his plan. I stared at Dad, my heart pounding. Done the analysis. Lucas hadn't stood over melted chocolate for hours or balanced ingredient costs to keep us profitable. I'd run those numbers myself, late nights after closing, trying to keep quality high and expenses smart. Now my own father was siding with him over me. Fine, I said, my voice cold. If you want to turn Sorrentino's into a bulk candy factory, go ahead. But don't expect me to watch. I walked out, the office door shutting behind me. Outside, the Boston streets hummed faintly. I leaned against a brick wall, my breath shaky. I'd given everything to this shop. My creativity, my sleepless nights, my soul. And they thought Lucas, with his flashy spreadsheets, was the future. That evening, I met Natalie at a diner in the North End. She owns Crimson Confections and has been my mentor since my first chocolate competition. Over greasy fries and coffee, I poured it all out. Lucas's takeover, Dad's silence, Mom's nods. Natalie listened, eyes sharp. Elena, she said, setting her mug down, you're one of the best chocolatiers I know. You built Sorrentino's into a brand. If this was just a corporate job, would you stay? No way, I said instantly. I'd leave. Then why is it different because it's family? Your grandfather started Sorrentino's, but you made it what it is. You don't owe them your soul. Her words hit me hard. I thought about Giovanni, who'd trusted me to protect his legacy. He'd never let someone like Lucas wreck his vision. But Dad was ready to hand it over, no questions asked. That night, I went home and made lists. My recipes, the yuzu truffles, espresso bark, weren't just sweets, they were my creations. My suppliers trusted me, not the shop. My relationship with Eric was built on late-night calls and trust. By dawn, my decision was clear. I wasn't staying where I wasn't valued. But leaving wasn't enough. I had to protect what I'd built. I backed up my files, contracts, and supplier lists. The official records stayed with Sorrentinos, but the relationships were mine. Monday morning, I stepped into Dad's cramped office, stacked with old invoices. He looked up, surprised. "Elena, what's this about? We've got the corporate tasting tonight." "No, you've got it," I said, placing my resignation letter on Dad's desk. "I'm done, effective immediately." His face went pale. "Don't be ridiculous. You can't just quit. This is your family's business." "It's not my business anymore," I said. "You made that clear when you chose Lucas. I'm not working under someone who doesn't understand what we do." He stood, voice sharp. "You're overreacting. Lucas is learning. You're still head chocolatier." "Head chocolatier?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean a worker taking orders from your CEO? No thanks, Dad. I'm worth more than that." He stared at the letter, unopened. "You'll regret this, Elena. You can't walk away from your legacy." "My legacy is what I built," I said, turning away. "Good luck with Lucas's Bolt chocolate bars." As I left, fear and freedom twisted inside me. Sorrentinos had been my life, but staying meant losing myself. I wasn't just leaving a job, I was choosing me. I moved into a small North End apartment, just 10 minutes from Sorrentino's, but worlds away from the chaos I'd left. For days, I kept my phone off, needing air. When I finally turned it on, the notifications told me everything. Sorrentino's was falling apart. 30 missed calls, dozens of texts, emails everywhere. Most were from suppliers and staff confused about orders. Ryan, our manager, left a tense voicemail. "Elena, it's chaos here. Lucas changes plans constantly. Production's a mess. Call me." I didn't. They'd chosen Lucas. Let them deal with it. But the calls kept coming. Denise Hart, our cocoa supplier, texted. "Lucas wants bulk chocolate instead of single origin. Is that right?" I sighed, imagining our yuzu truffles replaced by cheap bars. Kristen, one of our chocolatiers, messaged. "Elena, Lucas changed production mid-run. Half the batches were ruined. Customers are angry." What's happening? I stared at the screen, my stomach knotting. These weren't just co-workers. They were my team. But I couldn't fix it, not anymore. By day 5, the cracks were starting to show in public. I got a call from a Boston food blogger who'd visited Sorrentino's the night before. "Elena, I heard you left," she said carefully. "Service was sloppy and the yuzu truffles tasted off. Is the shop changing direction?" I kept my voice neutral. "I'm not there anymore. You'll have to ask the new CEO." Her pause told me she'd heard the edge beneath my words. The real blow came on day 8 when Eric from Regal Atlantic Hotels called. Eric and I had built our partnership over 3 years, taste-testing chocolates, fine-tuning exclusive products for their East Coast properties. That $850,000 0 cents contract was built on trust as much as flavor. His voice was clipped and professional, but I could hear the frustration. "Elena, what's happening at Sorrentino's? I met with your brother yesterday and it was a train wreck." I sank onto my couch, bracing myself. "I'm not with the shop anymore, Eric. Lucas is handling things now." "Yeah, I figured," he said. He showed up with a slide deck about operational efficiencies, but couldn't answer basic questions about your products. He talked about phasing out signature items for cheaper alternatives. That's not what we signed up for. My jaw clenched. Phasing out signature items? Which ones? "Peached bulk chocolate bars and generic truffles," Eric said, voice flat. Said it'd streamline production. I asked about the yuzu truffles and he didn't even know the recipe. "Elena, our contract is built on your quality and vision. If that's gone, we're out." I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of his words. Regal Atlantic wasn't just a client. They were nearly a third of Sorrentino's revenue. Losing them would gut the business. "I'm sorry, Eric," I said softly. "I'm not in a position to fix this." "I know," he said, his tone gentler. "I'm giving you a heads up out of respect. We're considering ending the contract, but if you land somewhere else, call me. We'd love to work with you." The call ended and I stared at the bare walls of my apartment. Part of me felt vindicated. I'd warned them Lucas wasn't ready, but another part ached for Sorrentino's, for Giovanni's legacy. for the team who'd be caught in the fallout. I didn't want Sorrentino's to fail, but I couldn't save it on their terms. That evening, my phone lit up with Dad's number. I let it go to voicemail. His message was short, strained. Elena, we need to talk. There's confusion with suppliers. Call me. An hour later, another message followed. Production's a mess with the new plan. We could use your input. By midnight, a third of our revenue's walking away. $850,000, Elena. Please call. I didn't. Not yet. The next morning, Dad called again. This time, I answered. Dad, I said, steadying my voice. Elena, thank God, he burst out. We're in trouble. Eric says Regal Atlantic is leaving. He's furious about Lucas's meetings and the changes to the product line. They say we're breaking our promises. $850,000, Elena. We can't lose this. I know, I said. Eric called me. He called you? Dad's voice rose. What did he say? The Lucas pitched bulk chocolate bars and cheap truffles, I said bluntly. He doesn't know our recipes or the vision we sold. Eric's pulling the contract because the trust is gone. Dad fell silent, then spoke urgently. You have to come back, talk to Eric, fix this. You're the only one who can. I laughed, short and bitter. Fix it? Dad, I built that partnership. 3 years of tastings, recipe tests, late-night calls. You think I can just swoop in and clean up Lucas's mess? You're the only one who understands this business. It's your family's legacy. We need you. His words stung because they came too late. If you needed me, why'd you pick Lucas? I asked. I ran production, partnerships, the brand. You sidelined me for someone who can't name our top seller? It wasn't about sidelining you, he said defensive. Lucas has business skills. We thought you'd stay as head chocolatier. Head chocolatier under Lucas? That's not a role, Dad. That's a demotion. You chose him. Now you're paying for it. He sighed. What do you want me to say? We messed up. But we're losing Regal Atlantic. Come back, Elena. I gripped the phone. If you want my help, it's not about cleaning up. It's about recognizing my worth. Equal partnership, real authority. He hesitated. We can discuss that. But we need Regal Atlantic. Can you call Eric? No, I said firmly. Not until we're on the same page. I'm not coming back just to be shoved behind the chocolate counter again. Elena, be reasonable, Dad said, frustration creeping in. This isn't the time for pride. It's not pride, I said. It's respect. Figure out what you're offering, then we'll talk. I hung up, my pulse racing. Saying no scared me, but it felt right. For years, I'd worked myself to exhaustion, believing loyalty would earn me respect. But hard work meant nothing if my family only saw me as the chocolatier. Natalie's words echoed. Don't let them dim your worth. I wasn't going back unless they saw mine. Over the next 2 days, calls kept coming. Ryan texted about morale collapsing, staff quitting, production behind. Denise emailed that Lucas hadn't paid invoices, risking a halt in premium cocoa. Even Mom left a hesitant voicemail. Elena, I know you're upset, but we're struggling. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Mom's silence during that meeting had hurt as much as Dad's decision. By day 10, news spread. A Boston food critic posted a review calling Sorrentino's a shadow of its former self. Yelp complaints piled up about bland chocolates and chaos. I tried to stay detached, but each message chipped away at me. Sorrentino's wasn't just a job, it was my legacy too. But saving it meant compromising myself. I wasn't ready to do that. Then Natalie called. Elena, I heard about Regal Atlantic. Are you okay? Not really, I said. Dad wants me back, but nothing's changed. They're feeling the heat, she said. Walking away showed them your worth. So, what's next? I didn't know, but her question lit a spark. Maybe my future wasn't at Sorrentino's. Maybe it was time to build something of my own. After 10 days of silence, I finally agreed to meet Dad and Lucas at a cafe in the North End. It wasn't easy. Part of me wanted to keep walking, but Natalie's words stayed with me. Show them your worth. This time, I wasn't going back without real change. If you've ever had to fight for your place at the table, stay with me. There's more ahead, and I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss how I decide whether to rebuild my legacy or start an entirely new one. I wore a navy blazer over a white blouse, professional, not flashy, and sipped an espresso, rehearsing my terms: equal partnership, equity, respect, non-negotiable. For the first time in years, I felt like I held the cards. At 10 sharp, Dad and Lucas arrived looking drained. Dad's tie was loose, eyes shadowed. Lucas, usually sharp, looked disheveled, hair uncombed, blazer wrinkled. They slid into the booth. Dad forced a smile. "Elena," he said. Lucas just stared, lips tight. "Dad, Lucas," I said evenly. The server came. Dad ordered coffee. Lucas mumbled for a latte. Then tension settled between us. Dad leaned forward. "Elena, we're in trouble. Regal Atlantic pulled out after Lucas's meeting. Eric said they expected your quality, your menu. We need you back." I took a slow sip. "I know. Eric called me. He said Lucas pitched bulk bars and cheap truffles instead of our signature creations. He's leaving because the trust we built is gone." Lucas's face flushed. "That's not fair," he snapped. "I was showing cost cuts. You're the one who left us with this mess." "My mess?" I lifted an eyebrow. "I built that partnership with Eric. Years of tastings, revisions, late-night calls. You ruined it in one meeting because you don't know our products." "Enough," Dad said sharply. "This isn't about blame. We're losing $850,000, 0 cents, Elena. Eric won't talk to Lucas. We need you." I crossed my arms. How? As head chocolatier taking orders from Lucas? No. "If you want my help, we talk about why I left." Dad sighed. "Fine. What do you want to know?" I held Dad's gaze, heart pounding. "Why did you choose Lucas as CEO? The real reason, not business talk. I ran production, partnerships, marketing for 14 years. Why wasn't that enough?" Dad glanced at Lucas, who fidgeted with his cup. Finally, he said, "The board, and your mom, thought Lucas's MBA made him better for growth. She's got the skills to scale, maybe open new shops. You're amazing in production, but we needed a leader." "A leader?" I repeated, my voice steady but cold. "So my chocolate training, my business degree, my $850,000 0 cents contract, that's not leadership. You chose someone who can't name our top product because he's got an MBA. It wasn't about that," Dad said quickly. "The industry's changing. Big brands are merging. Lucas's vision fits that." "His vision?" I leaned closer. "His vision is bulk bars and cheap truffles. That's not Sorrentino's. That's not what Giovanni built, or what I made into a brand." Lucas slammed his cup down, coffee spilling. "You're so dramatic, Elena. I'm trying to make us profitable, not chase magazine articles." "You're mad you didn't get the title?" "I'm mad because I earned my place and you got it handed to you. You've never worked production rushes, balanced costs, closed deals. You're not a leader. You're a liability." "Stop it, both of you," Dad snapped. "Elena, Regal Atlantic is gone unless you talk to Eric. What'll it take?" I breathed deeply. Equal partnership with Lucas. Not working under him. Real decision-making power. Equity reflecting my work. Public recognition. I'm not just Elena who handles chocolate. Lucas's jaw dropped. "Equal partnership? That's crazy. I'm the CEO." "It's not your title I want," I said. "It's what I've earned." I doubled revenue, secured Regal Atlantic, built our brand. You lost that contract in days. Tell me why you should lead alone." Dad raised a hand, silencing Lucas. "Equity," he said carefully. "This is a family business, Elena. You'll get your share. Eventually." "Eventually isn't enough," I said. "I've grown Sorrentino's value. I want what's fair, now." Lucas scoffed. "This is extortion. You're using a crisis for power." I turned to him, calm but firm. No, Lucas. I'm naming my worth. If a competitor offered me a job tomorrow, and some have, they'd give me authority, equity, respect. Why should I accept less from my own family? Dad studied me like he finally saw me, not just his daughter, but someone he couldn't afford to lose. If we agreed, he said slowly, how would you fix Regal Atlantic? I'd call Eric, explain we're restructuring, keeping the quality he signed up for, bring samples of new products. He trusts me, not Sorrentino's. And you're sure he'd stay? I'd try. One bad meeting hasn't erased our trust. Dad exchanged a look with Lucas. We'll talk to the lawyer. Draw up terms. Fine, I said. I have a lawyer too. Lucas blinked. You have a lawyer? This is business, I said, not just family. But inside, something shifted. Natalie's question kept echoing. What's next? Did I really want to go back, even on my terms, to a place that only valued me when desperate? I thought of Giovanni, who built Sorrentino's out of passion. I loved it too, but maybe my future wasn't fixing their mess. Actually, I said, setting down my cup, I'm not coming back. I'm starting my own chocolate brand. Dad froze. What? I have the skills, contacts, vision. Eric hinted he'd work with me. Natalie offered to partner. I don't need Sorrentino's to succeed. Lucas scoffed. You're bluffing. You can't just start over. You need us. Do I? I met his eyes. I built this brand. You're the ones who need me, and you blew it. Dad's voice cracked. Elena, don't do this. It's too late, I said, standing. You chose. Lucas. I walked out of the cafe, heart racing, but light. For years, I'd tied my worth to Sorrentino's. Now, I was betting on myself. 3 months later, I stood in Elena's artisan chocolates, watching trays go out on opening night. The North End shop buzzed with energy. Ryan, my old manager, joined me, fed up with Lucas. Kristen followed, saying, I'd rather work your recipes. Even Denise Hart delivered cocoa with a grin. Couldn't let you start without me, she said. Customers filled my shop, tasting familiar flavors reborn under my name. Eric became a partner, helping pitch to new hotels. Natalie's mentorship kept me strong. Together, we built something authentic. One evening, boxing truffles, I thought of Giovanni. He taught me chocolate isn't just ingredients, it's story and connection. Leaving Sorrentino's wasn't betrayal. It was honoring my own legacy. I wasn't just a chocolatier or daughter. I was a woman who knew her worth. Standing in my shop, watching my team, I felt peace. My family's still in my life, but on my terms. If you've ever stood up for your worth, I'd love to hear your story. Drop me a comment below, and let's lift each other up. Remember, respect isn't given, it's claimed. Don't wait for permission to shine. Build your own table. That's how freedom and real success begin.